know there's an instrument that's like this? No, it's not. It's not an instrument. You know people play spoons? Cool. Okay. Hey guys, welcome. I got a cool recipe for you today. One thing that I love cooking is Italian food. I am not Italian. I don't pretend to cook traditional Italian food. I just take some Italian stuff that I eat at restaurants and I'm like, that's kind of cool. Let me try that at home. And so I come up with my own kind of recipes that are, they're not traditional, but they're good. So I got a chicken marsala pasta for you today. Love it. It is super, super rich. It is not a healthy meal at all. So I try to eat healthy for the most part. And so this is an every once in a while kind of recipe, but hopefully for you guys, it's really fun. It's really great. Also, the way I cook it is gluten-free because I use this pasta from Banza. It's great. I love it a lot. It is actually made out of chickpeas. So it is high in protein and high in fiber. Keep that in mind. So for this recipe, we're gonna need quite a few things. This is probably more than I usually use. This is more than I've ever put on a video is what I'm trying to say. You're gonna need sun-dried tomatoes and some marsala cooking wine. The garlic spread that I have here, garlic paste that I got here, I made a video about it. Click up here to watch last week's video. It's really awesome substitute for minced garlic, and I hope you watch. It's good. As far as the wine, listen, I have about no wine knowledge at all. I'm not a wine connoisseur at all. It's not my thing. I actually don't really like drinking wine that much. So, take what I say with a little bit of a grain of salt. I go to the oil section and I buy marsala cooking wine. There is a marsala drinking wine, and there's many other wines. Specifically for this one, we need marsala cooking wine. I find mine in the oil section, as I said, in my local grocery store. However, feel free to test with whatever. If you want to try a different marsala, I'm sure it's nicer, fancier. I just go for the very basic one because it's easy. The next thing you're gonna need is heavy cream, lemon, salt and pepper. That's the salt and pepper mix that I make, that I use sometimes. It's freshly ground pepper, salt. You don't need that. That's just something I did randomly. Some baby portobello mushrooms, Italian seasoning, grated parm, and salt by itself. So, first step, you're gonna take the chicken, you're gonna trim the fat, and you're gonna just salt and pepper it. I already did that before recording. One important step, if your chicken breasts are really thick, cut them down the middle in half into smaller fillets. We are cooking them in fillets and then cutting after, and it'll be, the final product will be in chicken strips, not chicken fillets, but we're cooking in fillets so that we get the nice crust, nice crispiness on top, you know? So, first step, we're gonna prep the chicken for a sec. So after you salt and peppered, move everything that you got on your cutting board off. Okay. So, once you got your chicken ready to go in the bowl, salt and peppered, you're gonna cut your lemon down the middle, obviously, you're gonna juice it. I have this juicer, it's amazing. I've talked about it in a previous video. It's an awesome tool. I highly recommend you get it. Mine's is by Musa, and it's yellow. I don't know if a different color is better or not. And you're gonna squeeze half a lemon in there. Now, you might be thinking, that's weird. Why would you put lemon in a pasta recipe? So, this does not sit for long, if at all. The reason why I do this, and toss it a little bit, just to make sure it gets around, is you're gonna get a little bit, talking and cooking is still something I'm getting used to. But anyways, so the purpose of the lemon is to brighten up the chicken just a little bit. This is a very heavy sauce, and so if the only flavor that the chicken picks up is the sauce, it's gonna make the chicken will just be very dense in flavor. And so I squeeze a little bit of a lemon in there. It gives a little bit of acidity, it brightens the chicken up a little bit, and so the final product is just better. So next step, mushrooms. Make sure you wash your mushrooms. Those aren't cute birthmarks, that's dirt. So, you got your baby portobellos, nice and showered. You're gonna cut them into slices. You can buy this pre-sliced, it's way easier. Leave them in big pieces because mushrooms is one of those things that you either hate them or you love them. And so if you hate them, you can take them out of this recipe, and if you love them, you can eat them. This just adds a really great earthy tone to the sauce, that I really enjoy. So I'm leaving them pretty big, and then anyone who doesn't like mushroom can just take them out. If you don't like mushrooms at all, I would still recommend, like you don't like eating them, I still recommend you cook with them. You can cut them into, like you can quarter them like this, and then just saute that in the sauce a little bit, and you'll get the flavor, which I think is a really great flavor, and you can just kind of pick them out if you don't want them. That might be ridiculous. If you went to culinary school, you're like, that's ridiculous. Eat the mushrooms. Well, some people don't like mushrooms, so. Okay, we're done here. Let's move over here to the stovetop. Okay, now that we're over here, first step, preheat your skillet to 5. So you're gonna have to use your biggest oven-safe skillet. I'm using this really beautiful Tramontina cast iron enamel skillet. I love it. I got it for Christmas. Shout out to my wife. Love it. So it's nice and big. I think it's 12 inches because you're gonna toss the pasta in. The spaghetti, we're using linguine. And just let it preheat. If you're using cast iron, you know, you wanna let it get to temp first. Anything really, you just wanna let it get to temp. Okay, once your skillet gets to temperature, we're gonna saute the onions. The mushrooms. And toss them around. Go. Use a good bit of oil. Or olive oil, preferred. I always prefer olive oil. You can also use avocado oil, that's a good substitute. Okay. So now that your mushrooms are in, this is a good spot to preheat your oven. We're gonna go 425. There you go. And if you're like me, check. And if you're like me, you have stuff in your oven. There we go. Okay. Now we're safe. So just keep tossing them around. The smell of sauteed mushrooms is so nice. Love it. Make sure you keep containers on the side because you will be taking stuff off and on. You'll see what I mean by that in a second. Okay, next step. Once I keep saying onions. Once your mushrooms get to go for about 5 minutes, you can start smelling them. Very aromatic. They're starting to get a little soft. We don't want super soft, so let's get to a good place. We're gonna get about 2 tablespoons of sun-dried tomatoes. And this step is just a quick light saute. You can add more or less of this if you want. Just toss them around. Sun-dried tomatoes taste so good. There's a Friends episode about sun-dried tomatoes being so out of style. I never understood that. Maybe I'm very out of style in this recipe. But this is where it goes. So the cool thing about this is we're gonna cook the chicken in this now in a sec, and the mushrooms, the tomatoes, the sun-dried tomatoes, they've cooked in this oil that is now gonna cook the chicken, and the chicken's gonna get a nice flavor from it. So once your sun-dried tomatoes and your mushrooms go for a sec, we're gonna scoop them out. And as you're scooping out, try to leave as much of the oil as possible. Now, chicken time. Try to bring as little of the lemon juice as possible. At this point, lightly season with Italian seasoning. I like to drag the chicken around, picks up the oils. Ow. So now we're just trying to cook the chicken till both sides are nice and crispy. While the chicken's cooking, I have a quick second to talk about which pasta we're using today. Today we're using linguine. I like a bigger pasta as opposed to like angel hair or even spaghetti because I feel like it just works better with the sauce, picks it up a little more. However, you can use literally anything. I personally like the long pastas for this recipe, but you can use shells, you can use rotini, whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. It's up to you. What's your favorite? And that's the one you're gonna use. Once the chicken gets to a place where you can see it's nice and crispy on both sides, we're gonna reintroduce the mushrooms and some tomatoes. And toss them around a little. Now we can add a tablespoon of the garlic. If you don't have this, introduce about 4 garlic cloves. Let that saute in there. So if you're using the paste, we're going for 30 seconds. If you're using garlic cloves, go for a minute or 2. Then we can toss everything. Now we add the liquids. 1 cup of heavy cream. You can also lower the temperature a little bit to like a 3 or 4. And then 1 cup of Marsala Marsala cooking wine. Cool. This is a lot of liquids, but that's on purpose because we're finishing the pasta in this. Once everything's in, toss around a little bit. And we're actually going to stay at 5 because we want to cook this a little bit. Also, about a cup of grated parm. This is not a healthy meal. That's okay because sometimes you need it. Now we're going to let it cook for a sec. So it starts to thicken just a little bit. Starts to bubble a little bit, you're good. If you want, you can toss the sauce over the chicken so it doesn't get too dry on one side. So now we're gonna go for about a minute or 2 this way, letting the sauce cook a little bit. And then we go into the oven. Dude, this looks like it tastes so good. So once it starts bubbling a little bit, we're gonna go into the oven for about 20 minutes. The goal is to reduce the liquid a little bit, a good bit, so that it's nice and thick. Now that's in the oven, you can, it's gonna be about 20 minutes. At about 5 minutes to go, you can start preheating your pot of water, and then you'll cook the pasta and finish in the sauce. But for now, I'm gonna clean a little bit. So see you in about 15 minutes. So, quick correction, we're not gonna go in the oven for 20 minutes, we're gonna go for about 15 minutes. It's been in there for about 7-8 minutes or so. We're coming up to the 10-minute mark. So we are preheating the pot, and we're gonna salt the water generously. This whole thing is about 1/3 of a cup, so I just did about 1/6 of a cup, I guess is what the term would be. Maybe a little more. Basically, you're gonna heavy salt the water. This is why we haven't salted the sauce, because the chicken has salt in it, the parm introduces a good bit of saltiness, and then the pasta water has salt in it as well. You wanna really avoid over salting this recipe, because what we're gonna do is once the pasta has cooked to almost done, we will grab the pasta and we're gonna bring it over to the skillet with the sauce, and we're gonna finish it. So you don't want the pasta to, you don't want it to be done. You want to cook it to al dente. You want it to be slightly undercooked because it'll be finished in the sauce. I am doing a whole box of pasta, and this will feed 4 people. Okay, water's boiling. Time for the pasta. Don't break your pasta in half. Just stir it in. Kind of just fold it in. There you go. And just stir it a little bit. Now we're gonna go for, here's the thing. I'm not gonna give you a time because you gotta taste it. You're gonna grab one, taste it, and you're gonna go for al dente. You want it to, you don't want it to be done yet. That's almost done. So about 2 to 3 minutes, we will take this out, and then we can toss that in. I love chickpea pasta. When we've cooked with it before, you do not really taste a difference from traditional pasta. And I don't know, it's great. I'm gonna lower the temperature just a little bit so it doesn't boil over too much. Okay, time to taste. Way undercooked, too much. It's been about 3 minutes, so it's gonna be about 5 minutes of cooking time. At this point, we can take the oven out. Take the skillet out of the oven. Woo! It's hot. That looks pretty nice. Let's toss this around, see how we're looking. Yeah, that's good. It's really thickened. You can see the color is a lot richer. It's nice. At this point, you take the chicken, grab a little cutting board or something, and we're gonna place. Once again, test your pasta. There we go. Okay, there is a little bit of a chew to it, and that's what we're going for. So now we're gonna take the pasta, take it over to the skillet. You want it to drain a little bit of the pasta sauce, but not too much, because it's good if it brings it over. Okay. Nice. Oh, this is looking good. Try to grab it. Try to grab as much, if not all. Okay. And now that we're done, we're not gonna cook this anymore. We're just gonna toss it out. And so we're just tossing it around, making sure it gets nice and coated in the sauce. Ooh, this is good. Now the skillet and the sauce has a lot of residual heat from the oven. It'll continue to cook the pasta. And you let it set 2-3 minutes. It'll set, it'll cook, and it'll be awesome. So now we can go back over there. There we go, on the plate. I love this recipe. It tastes really good. It's super homey, it's super comfort food. I like to throw a little bit extra sauce on top and a little bit of Parmesan cheese. It has a lot in there, so don't throw too much, just a tad. And there you go. If you like the video, please give us a like. Also, if this is something that you are enjoying and you're enjoying the recipes I'm putting out, consider subscribing. I would greatly appreciate it. And putting out stuff weekly. If you make this, tag us at Slightly Better Kitchen on Instagram. Would love to share it. And yeah, don't got anything else? I am gonna have a little bit of this because I am starving. So you have a nice day.